Okay, we are going to get started. Good morning. My name is Maya Curry. I am the Vice President for Communications and Programming at the Newark Regional Business Partnership, and we're really excited to welcome you to today's webinar on finance and accounting for small business. NRBP is a chamber of commerce representing businesses and organizations in the city of Newark, and throughout the greater region. More than 300 businesses and organizations are members of our organization, and we're excited to partner with Verizon, and our Chamber and Business Association colleagues on this program, series, the Small Business Digital Inclusion Program Series. We're excited to be in partnership with the Camden Business Association, the Greater Atlantic City Chamber, the Greater Paterson Chamber of Commerce, the Middlesex County Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to bring on Mark Boccieri briefly, who is the Senior Manager of State and Government Affairs at Verizon, to provide brief opening remarks on behalf of the organization about this program series.
Thank you, Maya, and good afternoon, everyone. And I'm sure that everyone is anxious for today's Small Business Digital Inclusion Training webinar focusing on finance and accounting for small business. My name is Mark Boccieri, and I'm joined by my teammate, Jennifer Young. We are the Senior Managers of State Government Affairs for Verizon, New Jersey. We want to thank you and welcome our returning and new guests for taking the time from your busy schedules to be with us today. We'd also like to thank our participants for sharing their expertise with us today, and Verizon is happy to support this webinar series and looks forward to hearing your feedback on this session. I also want to remind you that the online Small Business Digital Ready curriculum is available as a supplement to each of the sessions in both English and in Spanish. Remember that if you take at least 2 classes by June 28th, you can register for a drawing to win a $10,000 grant. Registration is also free by going to digitalready.verizonwireless.com. Again, that's digitalready, one word, .verizonwireless, one word, .com to register. I hope you enjoyed today's sessions, and back to you, Maya.
Thank you, Mark. This is the second program in the Digital Inclusion Series, and these programs will be running through the end of June, touching upon topics such as AI and technology, cybersecurity, e-commerce, social media marketing, and more. As a registrant of today's program, you will receive additional information about future programs in the series, as well as further information about the grant, which Mark just discussed. We have a packed program for you today with our speakers from these amazing companies, and we're going to get right to it. Andrew Coombs is joining us today from Combs CPA. Sylvia Pereira is joining us from Citizens Bank. Cristabel Valladares is joining us from Nisavocia, and Onel Villares is joining us from GNEC. I'm going to bring on Andrew, who's going to give a presentation about accounting best practices for small businesses, and then each speaker will come on in succession to do their piece of the presentation. At the end, we will take Q&A. There's a Q&A box, which everyone should have access to, where you can drop in questions. Some of our speakers may address your questions within the Q&A box, but if not, we will have some time for Q&A at the end. Andrew, we're going to pass it over to you to get the program going.
Sure. Thank you, Maya, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Coombs from Coombs CPA, and it's a pleasure meeting all of you. Today, we're going to talk about some just best practices with accounting, taxes, and just business in general. I'm going to share my screen right now. 1 second. And we'll just go through this presentation. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. So I'm the owner of Coombs CPA, and what we're going to talk about today is basic
Andrew,
business.
I'm sorry, really quick. Do you want to put it in presentation mode? Right now, I think you have it in notes mode, so we can see. It's like in the notes setting.
Okay, so I just slideshow right here, and then let me see. Read this. Let me see if this is a way to do it. So it's showing up like this? Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize. Go out really quick, and when you, escape out really quick. When you go to slideshow, it should give you an option to just show from the first slide. If not, it can go in notes mode.
I gotcha. Second. from
Yeah, from
beginning?
beginning should be.
Gotcha.
No, it's still in notes mode. That's okay. Keep it going. We'll share. We'll have the PDF. They can see it. It's okay.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm talking about basic business taxes, financial reporting, best practices. Just giving a brief background about myself. I started the firm in November 2017, purchased the first, building that we were in 2018, and then we moved. I purchased the other one in 2021. So we're now on 953 Bergen Street in Newark, New Jersey. And, some of the services that we provide, taxes, CFO outsource, um, accounting consultation, R&D credit consultation, audit, um, payroll, and so on. So I just want to go over basics in terms of financials, right? This is an example of a balance sheet. And for the business owners here, what a balance sheet does is it gives you a snapshot of the business. So if someone's going to give you a loan or give you funding, they want to see the assets that you have or receivables that you have coming in and the debt that you currently have so that it determines whether they decide whether they want to give you the money or not. So it's important for you all to have this statement because it gives you a snapshot of your organization and it lets users or investors know, hey, where is this organization at as of now? Who do they owe and what do they have coming in terms of future receivables? So just want to go over basic financials with you all. This is an example of an income statement. For a lot of those who are purchasing real estate, it shows the money coming in and then the money coming out. Revenue minus expenses is net income. So it basically gives investors or people who are going to give you a loan just a snapshot of the money coming in and the money coming out, basically. I want to talk about business structures. Um, you know, there's different advantages of each. Okay, so you have a C corp. C corps are the least favorable from a tax perspective because you get something called double taxation. Okay, so you're taxed at the entity level and the personal level. What usually works, most people usually do a C corp is because they're going to get institutionalized investors or certain investors that require it. Other than that, for basically the normal person, like C corps aren't the most beneficial from a tax perspective. The most beneficial from a tax perspective would be LLCs, S corps, LLPs. They're called flow-through entities. So the actual entities aren't taxed. The profit or the losses flow through you. So they flow through your personal. So the entity's not taxed, but you're taxed on the profits. Well, you get the benefit for the losses, but for the income coming in, you get taxed on it, and it flows through your personal return. That's what they call it, a flow-through entity. But the entity doesn't actually get taxed, okay? And then you have a sole proprietorship, which goes on the Schedule C. The negatives of that is that it doesn't protect you from personal liability. So if you have an LLC, LLP, S corp, it basically, if someone was to come after you, they have to come after the business. Okay, they can't come after you directly, personally. Um, One of the beneficial structures is an S corp, and what makes the S corp really beneficial is that when you do a distribution, it eliminates self-employment tax. So a lot of business owners like S corporations. Okay. And this is as of 2024. I know it says 23 here, but as of 2024, individual C corp, single member LLCs, those are due in April. Dual members, those are due in March, and S corps are due in March. So a mistake that a lot of people make is they'll file their personal return before their business. If you have a flow through entity, you have to file the business first before you can file your personal. Okay. That's very important for everybody in here. Okay. Because the business is a flow through structure. That form that's a K1 has to go in your individual return on page 2 of your Schedule E. Okay. So for anyone who owns an LLC, S Corp, in a partnership, just remember that you cannot file your personal return until the business is completed. The best ways to take advantage of the tax law is owning a business, owning property, multifamily property. So if you own a business, the tax law is like this. There's so many things that you can do. Do home office expenses, um, depreciation for your car, tax write-offs. There's so much you can do. Owning a property, depreciation, the business expenses with repairs. Um, so much you could that goes into it that you can do. When you just have a W-2 job, the tax laws like this, and especially after the tax reform with Trump, they took a lot of stuff away even more. So it's really small. So the best tax approaches in terms of taking advantage of the tax law is owning a business, owning multifamily property. Okay. So best practices for business, you don't want to commingle. So if you have a business, you want to have a separate business bank account. Okay. And you want to only do transactions from that business bank account. What happens with a lot of entrepreneurs is that there's times where there's not enough capital, so they try to dig into their personal account. You don't want to do that. Just write a check from your personal to the business and consider it a loan and still spend from the business. Okay. You want to have backup financial records. You want to have bookkeeping. So you can use a software like Xero, QuickBooks. If you're a nonprofit, you could use stuff like Atlas, okay? Just want to make sure you keep everything separate because that protects you in the event of an audit. And this is just a very high level, expenses offset, business income. If you don't spend the money, you're going to have to pay Uncle Sam. So a lot of business owners, you want to be able to not just sit on cash, you want to be able to pour that money back into the business through advertising, purchasing assets that can help, grow your business. Okay. So it's very important when owning a business to spend, because the best way to grow your business is to spend. You need to spend it on things that can help improve it. Okay. This is a Schedule C. Okay, this is what single member LLCs use. And it's attached to your 1040, okay? I'm going to talk briefly about 990s. I think Christabel's going to get in depth with it, but every year a 990 is supposed to be filed, and it's basically a tax return. You typically don't owe unless you have UBTI, that's like unrelated business tax income, but it's a nonprofit, it's tax exempt, and you have to file the 990 every year, okay? And if you're doing business, it should be for nonprofit purposes in terms of giving back to the community and so on. And this is an example of what a 990, the front page of it looks like. And this is just some best practice for nonprofits and businesses just in general. You want to have a segregation of duties. You don't want one person who has custody of the assets and also, record keeping responsibility. You want to keep things separate. So different people are doing different things. So it's not easy for someone to commit fraud. Having a code of ethics, don't commingle funds, and creating an operating budget just so that you're keeping mindful of the money coming in and the money coming out. Best practices for real estate, every property should have a separate LLC. This protects you. So if someone breaks their leg on your property, they can't come after you personally. They can only come after that individual LLC. In real estate, you want to keep, it's good to have a separate bank account for each property. And depreciation, remember, it's a temporary expense. So for a lot of people who are flipping property, you typically don't want to take depreciation because you have to add it back. It's for people who are going to buy and hold. Okay. And this is just some sort of this is real estate tax avoidance. Like if you have a primary residence and you live in it 2 out of the past 5 years, I mean you could exclude 500 for gain if you're married, 250 if you're single. There's other tax avoidance methods for 1031 exchanges. That is basically when you exchange, you take the capital gains from a sale of a property, and you take that to purchase another property. And then you also have opportunity funds, which invest into distressed neighborhoods, and you're able to help, offset capital gains that way when you're into this buying and selling of real estate. And this is an example of the Schedule E where you put rental income, rental expenses, and depreciation. And this is just a very high level of services we provide that I mentioned earlier: CFO outsource, accounting services, bookkeeping, basically everything related to accounting we offer. And if you want to contact us, our email is cpacoombs.com. Instagram is Coombs CPA, COOMBS CPA. And the email is info@cpacoombs.com. And if you want to find me on LinkedIn, you can find me Andrew, Andrew, and the last name is Coombs, COOMBS. That's all I have, and it was so nice talking to you all. Thank you. Maya, you can take it from there.
Thank you, Andrew. We are now going to switch over to Sylvia Pereira of Citizens Bank.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining the webinar. I am going to share my screen. Everyone can see that okay?
Yes, you should just take your presentation full screen.
Okay.
So you're going to want to hit slideshow where it says from beginning.
Yes. There we go. Okay. So I have my contact information right on the first slide. I am a business relationship manager with Citizens Bank, over 22 years of banking industry experience. Really wanted to go over just some of the interesting things about Citizens Bank. I know we are fairly new to the market. So we did just buy Investors Bank February of last year. So we have gotten a new market share really in New York, New Jersey for the first time, and trying to get our name out there, make sure everyone knows who we are. Believe it or not, Citizens Bank has actually been around for almost 200 years, just not in this area. So this is really the gap that we needed to fill to really kind of bring the Northeast together. So we're really excited to be in New Jersey and New York, meeting just a lot of new people. So just some things about us. We are really invested and believe that our small, medium-sized businesses are the backbone of our local economies. It is really the driving force in business banking, in just the economy, running everything in towns, getting everyone together. It's really, really important. I've never really liked the term small business because the word small doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. I think every business is important, whether you're starting off or whether you're, more established in maturity stages, or you're in more complicated stages of maybe 20 years plus. Really, all businesses are important and crucial. They just may have different needs. So a little background on our financial strength. I know everyone has heard of just some ups and downs last year with banking and some decisions that were made. One thing about Citizens Bank is that we are very diverse in what we go into. We make sure that we're not just focusing on one industry. We go into different industries, really take a deep dive into the stability, the trends, and the type of business owners and businesses. And the reason for that is we want to make sure that we're taking care of our clients, that we're here, that we have the products that you need, and that we're giving the most convenient products that's available as possible. So as a traditional bank with a diversified retail and commercial business mix, Citizens has a broad range of clients, including retail customers, small businesses, middle market, and mid-corporate companies across diversified industries. Like, really gives us the opportunity to start off with our business clients, even if they just registered and started off yesterday and they're very new, and grow with them as they get bigger. As a federal regulated bank, Citizens follow strict capital and liquidity guidelines, including managing to a variety of capital and liquidity metrics and limits. As part of our risk management processes, Citizens regularly runs capital and liquidity stress tests. We do that regularly, whether the government is asking us to do that or not, because we really want to make sure we know where we're standing. And we maintain buffers above required limits. For that reason, we want to make sure that we're in a stable environment, that we're making the right decisions at all times. So our approach is you and your business. It's the top priority. It's what we focus on. We want to make sure that we're helping your business reach its potential. So we invest the time to listen, to get to know every aspect of your business and its unique history, current state, and future plans. Having a business relationship manager for your business is really crucial because you get to sit down, really get to know the person and the business. It's important when I sit down with my clients that I understand what's important to them, what their day-to-day looks like, and really deep dive into what might be important today and what might be important short-term versus long-term for them. That's what will help me really help plan and make the business successful. I have a few slides that go into the different types of checking accounts with us. I know that the PDF is going out to everyone, so everyone can go into detail. I don't want to go over the very bare specifics, only because that's why you have a business relationship manager and you have someone to guide you. Understanding what's important to you will help us guide you on which checking account you should go into, how we can save you the most money, put more money back into the business, help you with lending or any other cash flow needs that helps increase the business cash flow. So just some details on that I'll be skipping over, but they are all on these slides. So the one I just went to was the checking account slide. This is our business money market. We do try to be as competitive as possible as a regional bank when it comes to interest rates. So we do have some promos from time to time. On occasion with my clients and my CPAs, I do send the promos out just so that we're as up to date as possible on any opportunities we have to help our clients. We do also help with term loans and business lines of credit. Terms loans could be in the form of just a regular term loan or maybe an equipment loan. That is where we would ask for what Andrew spoke about earlier, which was a balance sheet. It really helps us look at the trends going forward, the trends that just happened, maybe the last 3 months, and see where the business is headed so we can properly analyze, look at the cash flow, and see what we can approve our clients for. We also partner with the SBA. Citizens Bank is actually one of the #1 lenders for SBA. If there is a collateral shortfall or anything that would not allow us to do conventional lending, we do lean on SBA. And the great part about that is we eliminate the hassle for our business owners to have to deal with the SBA, call them. They wouldn't have to do anything. That would be where I step in. We have a direct representative from the SBA that we work with, and we handle all the paperwork, all the frustrating things that our business owners would have to do if they didn't go through us. We handle that so that it's a little bit more of a seamless process for you. We launched a new system called Vantage Link recently, and this allows us to really give our business owners access to lending short-term or just smaller amounts, just to kind of get them over what's happening in the business right now. It's a 2 to 3 day approval process, and the documents that we would need to collect are very minimal. We would really only need 3 months of business statements, just to kind of look at what the activity is for the business, and IDs, some minimal information on, the EIN number, the date that the business was established, and you could potentially get access to either a loan or line of credit. We've really been able to help a lot of our clients with Vantage Link loans because it's simple, it's fast, and it gets them access to capital pretty quickly. And then we have treasury products. So we have quite a few, again, depending on the needs of the business, the size of the business. There's ways that we can help with cash flow. If you are a cash heavy business, we have vaults that we work with Brinks and Loomis. We have easy deposit, positive pay, and fraud protection. I know that fraud is a pretty hot topic when it comes to banking right now, and unfortunately something that everyone has experienced or may have. So we have ways to really bulletproof the account and give you peace of mind, let you sleep better at night. Fraud can be kind of rigorous to go through, quite a process. So we try to eliminate and make things as convenient as possible for our clients. We actually used to be part of the Bank of Scotland. So in being part of the Bank of Scotland years and years ago, we maintained their platform for foreign exchange, which is wonderful. It gives us the access to give our clients that do exchanges or send international wires, but send it in foreign exchange. Now, why would you want to do that? It's a good question. Most of my clients don't understand that when you send US dollars overseas, you're actually paying all of the fees for that. If you were to send it in foreign exchange, you control how many fees you're paying, and the other end, whoever is receiving it, would have to pay the fees. So it, again, lets you put more money back into your pocket. I've helped a lot of my business owners with foreign exchange products and platforms that allows them to easily send funds over, but maybe convert it over to euros or convert it over into another currency, making the process a little simpler as well. We also have commercial credit cards. Our credit cards on the business side have no annual fee, and they do have some with points back. So great way to put some money back into the business, earn some points on things that you have to spend anyway, and capitalize on having to pay one bill a month instead of paying things maybe every couple of days or every couple of weeks. Really helps you take a look at the expenses that you're paying. Another great way to implement a credit card for the business is not only to increase the business credit score, but also to protect against fraud. It's a lot easier to get a new credit card turned around in a few days and you can keep moving with your business if there's fraud on it than it is a checking account. There's a lot more involved with a checking account. You have to visit the branch, get a new account number, maybe contact some vendors to update the account number. A credit card really helps when it comes to easing the process of changing account numbers. And again, everyone is getting this PDF, so you will be able to go in more detail. The final two things that I wanted to talk about is Citizens Merchant Services. So Citizens partners with one of the world's largest merchant services companies, which is WorldPay. We've partnered with companies for many reasons. We've been able to save money on the fees that they're paying. We've been able to help clients with invoicing processes. We've been able to help clients with customer service. Since we partner with them directly, you would again come to me or your business relationship manager, and you have that one person, that one contact person for everything, instead of having to call 1-800 numbers, which can be very frustrating at times. The last partner we work with is Paychex. Paychex has actually helped a lot of our businesses keep fines down with the proper signage in their office buildings. Even something as simple as having a handbook properly ready for their employees, workers' compensation. They do a lot of things and offer a lot of resources other than just payroll. I do have my information on the first slide, so if anyone has any questions or want to reach out to me directly, feel free. I'm happy to help.
Thank you. Thank you, Sylvia. We are going to pass it over to Cristobal Valladares at Nisavacia.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cristobal Valladares. I'm with Nisavacia. We are a CPA firm out in Morris County. We offer audit, tax, advisory consulting services. We can help you with anything that you need: financial, budgeting, strategic planning. I'm a partner at the firm. I've been with Nisavacia for 20 years. And I'm going to focus today on nonprofits, and I'm going to share my screen. Just want to make sure everybody can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen. If you want to take the slide full screen, right now it's showing within the PDF panel.
Okay. So I'm going to focus today on nonprofit organizations. So I'm going to start with how do you establish a nonprofit organization? So you start with filing a formation document. Then you need to apply for your federal employee identification number. Next, what you need to do is you need to file for federal exempt status. And that's called a Form 1023 application. It has a filing fee. And for filing that form, these are some of the items that you would need. You would need your certificate of incorporation. You would need your articles of incorporation, bylaws, your board member listing, an organization chart, the purpose and what's the proposed activities for the organization. You would need to determine the organization's year end. You need to come up with a budget, which is, forward looking. And so for that, you need financial information. I know Andrew at the start of the presentation talked about balance sheet. So you need balance sheet data. In the nonprofit world, we call it a statement of financial position, but it pretty much portrays similar information. You also need a statement of revenue and expenses, and you need all of this data for 3 years, for the current year and for the next 2 years. And so what they're trying to do is ensure, you have funds to start the organization, what's the mission, and that you're going to be able to make it through. Once you file this application, it can take 90 days to 6 months to get approved. And upon being granted 501c3 status from the IRS, you need to next obtain a sales tax exemption. And then you need to register with the Division of Charities if your annual gross contributions are over 10,000. Now that is for the state of New Jersey. If your mission and your services are going to extend outside New Jersey, every state has its own compliance laws and what's the threshold. So you would need to consult with your accountant to help with some of which states you should register with. Next, I'm going to talk about nonprofit accounting and financial reporting. So once you've got your nonprofit approved, now you need to figure a software to maintain the nonprofit's accounting records. Proper setup of the chart of accounts is critical. A lot of small nonprofits use QuickBooks online. It's a pretty robust system. Post-COVID, with people being anywhere and, working a lot from home, QuickBooks Online helps. And, everybody can access the most current version of the accounting system. But it's important to have it set up appropriately to put in some internal controls when you set it up. In addition to the QuickBooks setup, you need to have a budget, you need to forecast, and that helps with strategic planning purposes for your organization. It also helps provide, invaluable information if QuickBooks is set up properly for management and the board regarding cash flow. I know Andrew talked about cash flow. So cash flow is most critical. You want to know the sources of your cash and the uses. So if you have QuickBooks set up properly, which is critical, at any point in time, you can get a snapshot of the balance sheet, the revenue and expenses, and you can see what resources you have at your disposal, what are the priorities for spending. And it helps, with day-to-day operations and decision-making. In addition, you need to establish organization policies such as conflict of interest, whistleblower, record retention, and destruction. And then you need to establish proper internal control processes and procedures for everybody to operate and comply, as that will help with segregation of duties. And, as you're growing, and then when you reach the next stage of an audit, you would have all this in place, and that would make your audit seamless. So what are the annual compliance requirements for nonprofits? So there's a Form 990 and a state charities registration. There's an initial one when you first form, and then there's an annual one. So even though you're a tax-exempt organization, you're still required to file an annual return, which is the Form 990. So it's called an informational return. Now, if you have anything that's outside your mission, services that are generating revenues, then you would have to file a 990T, which is for unrelated business income tax. So how do you determine what form you should file? and that depends on your financial activity. So I know Andrew briefly touched on it. There's a grid out here, which you're going to get the slide deck. So the type of 990 that you file is dependent on your gross receipts and your total assets. So if you have gross receipts less than 50, you file a postcard. It's called a 990N. If your gross receipts are 200,000 and your total assets are less than 500, you file an EZ. And if your gross receipts are greater than or equal to 200 and your total assets greater than or equal to 500, you file a full-blown 990. The difference between an EZ and a 990, there's more information in the 990. There's more questions about compliance, about governance, so on and so forth. But as you're growing, which we're all trying to grow and give back to the community and fulfill our mission by providing services, it's critical you're going to have more information for transparency. So what's the due date of the 990? The initial due date is the 15th day of the 5th month after the fiscal year end. So in layman's terms, if you're a December year end, if you're a calendar year, it would be May 15th. So that's the 15th day of the 5th month. You can file an extension for it using Form 8868, and that will give you a 6-month extension. So if you're a December year end, it will take you to May 15th. 6-month extension will take you to November 15th. The 990 is a very critical document for a nonprofit. It helps you tell your story, right? A lot of donors can go online. They have access to the 990, whether it's through the IRS website, whether it's through GuideStar, charities. There's different platforms where they can get a hold of it. A lot of nonprofits may also post it on their website for transparency, and donors are going there to see, what you're doing. It asks you for major programs. It asks you about your special events or your fundraising events. So there's a lot of information, and donors want to see what you're spending funds on. So it's important to use it as a tool to tell your story, to talk about what you do, and to provide this information to the donors. So I always, and it's a free marketing tool, right? Because you're not paying for it. It's a required return to be filed. So take time in preparing it with your accountant and tell your story. In addition to the 990, as I mentioned previously, you have the annual charities registration. In New Jersey, it's called the NJCRI. It's due 6 months, so it would be June 30th. You can get a 6 months extension, which will bring it then to December 30th. However, the filing fee is still due at June 30th. So as a nonprofit grows and you get bigger, you may require to do an audit, right? So the 990 is the first step. And as you grow, depending on your funding sources and how big you are, you may need an audit. So how do you determine if your nonprofit needs to have an independent audit? So state laws may require that you submit audited financial statements when you submit your annual charity registration. Every state has its own threshold and compliance requirements, and the threshold may be by gross contributions, total revenues, it differs. In New Jersey, it's based on revenues, gains, and other support. And it excludes any non-monetary in-kind donations. So if you have total revenue, gains, and other support of 1 million or more, you must have an audit by a CPA firm. In addition, grantors like the federal, state, and local governments, they can request a copy of your audited financial statements. And then if you get any private foundation grants, depending on the size, they may ask, sometimes they just ask for administrative things, as to what's the purpose you fulfilled based on the grant they awarded you, and kind of like a report and a summary, or sometimes they can request audited financial statements. A lot of grants sometimes require 2 years worth of audited financial statements. So once you reach a point and you're growing and you're planning to apply for grants, it's important to start thinking about an audit and seek out an auditor and get guidance. And that's why it goes back to all the setup, which is critical. That will help the whole audit process to be seamless. If you have loans or lines of credit with financial institutions, they may request audited financial statements. So what are the different types of audits? You have a GAAP accrual basis audit. So that's not on a cash basis. It's basically where you would have accrual basis, you have receivables, and it gives a more true picture, putting revenues and expenses in the right period. And that's called like a financial statement audit. Depending on how much money of public funds, state and federal funds that you spend in a given fiscal year, your audit threshold or level could raise to a yellow book audit. So if you expend 100,000 or more in state or federal funds in your fiscal year, you would need a yellow book audit. That audit is a compliance audit for the grant to make sure it was spent in accordance with what the grantor or the donor awarded it for. And as you grow bigger, and if you expend 750,000 or more in state and or federal funds in your fiscal year, they are subject to state single audit and or federal single audit. So as we're growing, we have to increase the amount of compliance and transparency and report back to the grantors. So that's all I had for today. You're going to get the slide deck. Feel free to reach me. You have my contact information out here. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you just have any questions, set up, we do everything. We specialize in nonprofits. We service over 300 nonprofits at our firm. We have professionals who specialize in audit, tax, consulting, accounting services for nonprofits. And you'll receive my contact information, and feel free to drop me a line and we'll see how we can help you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Christabel. And we are going to close it out with Onel Villares from GNEC.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Onel Villares, and I am the Business Development Director at GNEC, Greater Newark Enterprise Corporation. Although we have Newark in our name, we do what we do statewide, just to keep that in mind. Basically, we are a CDFI. If I could see the audience, I would ask how many have heard of it, and normally I get not too many hands going up. A CDFI is a community development financial institution. Now, the two key words there is community development. The reason for our existence is to try to help the communities, try to help the underserved communities grow. We do two things, and we do them well. We do business loans, and we do technical assistance. Now, we receive a lot of money from institutions. As a matter of fact, Citizens Bank, thank you, Sylvia, by the way, they're one of the ones that do give us money. A lot of institutions give us the money, so then this way we can help the communities. There's what they call the CRA, the Community Reinvestment Act, enacted by Congress going back years ago. And basically the institutions that do business in a community have to give back to that community. They do it internally and they do it externally by using companies such as ours. Now, one of the things that I want everybody to know, and I don't have the time to go into every detail, obviously we're limited on time, but I do want you to keep this in mind. What we do is very highly subsidized. So everything comes at a big discount for the consumers that use us. We do not want to be the banks. If you have a choice, go to the banks first. The reason is they have checking accounts, they got savings accounts, they do merchant services, they have lines of credit, they do things that we don't do. But what happens is many times they don't qualify at the bank for whatever the reason may be. That's when I think we can come in and help them out tremendously with our products. And like I said, very highly subsidized. I'll give you an example because we had two accountants here. We have what we call the backstop program. And I don't want to get into a lot of details there, but just one little part of the program. It's what we call the bookkeeping and accounting. That's track number one. We help a client by giving them training on QuickBooks and getting 50 hours one-on-one with an accountant or a CPA that will take them and guide them on how to use the QuickBooks. Now, they don't do the taxes for you, but you become pretty good at using QuickBooks. That course, as you can imagine, 50 hours one-on-one over 1 year with an accountant, that's a lot of money. The course is anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000. We give this service to the consumer for $300. And the reason we do that for $300 is because we want people to have a little bit of skin in the game. If we give it away for free, everybody will try to take advantage of it, and a lot of people won't do it. So we want to make sure that the person has a little bit of skin in the game. But again, it's minimal skin. $300 on something that costs $5,000, $6,000 is a pretty good deal. We do the same thing on the lending side. Well, our rate right now, our normal rate is 10.99 for a business loan. That's pretty much within guidelines. It's based on the prime rate, and then most lending institutions add 1, 2, or 3%. Prime rate right now is at 8.5. As you already heard the news, rates have been going up. That's where we are right now. But because of these programs and all these grants that we receive and donations and so forth from the big institutions, we buy down the rate for the consumer. So the consumer will pay 5.99%, and it will be a fixed rate over a term of 4, 5, or 6 years, depending on the loan amount. I'll get into that in just a second. And there's no prepayment penalty. So again, very, very, very good rates in today's market. At the same time, what we try to do is be more flexible. Again, we're community development. We're a nonprofit company. We're not here to make big money. We're here to try to help the community grow. And because of that, what we offer, everything that we offer, is in the attempt to try to help the business owners get to the next level. So when it comes to underwriting, and we have our underwriter, he's here listening in, but for the moment, I don't need you, Fabian. But basically, our underwriting guidelines are much more flexible than the norm, because we understand that the reason why many people are being rejected, by the way, most of our referrals do come from banks because they don't want to lose the client relation, and they don't want to say no, they want to say yes, but sometimes for whatever reason they can't do the loan. They send them our way, knowing our flexibility is a little better than they have. And what we try to do is try to be that bridge so the client can get the loan they want, hopefully, and then get to the next level, and then go back to the bank where they have the much better products and a whole array of services that they can do that we can't do. But so with a bridge, now, what do we have? We have two kinds of loans. We have loans that are what we call the Dream Maker loans. Those are the smaller of the small loans, because we only go to a maximum of 100,000. So anything between 1 and 30,000 is the Dream Maker loans. Anything above 30 and up to 100 becomes the Business Builder loans. Now, what's the difference? There is a big difference. 30,000 or less, when it comes to our underwriting criteria, we don't require typically any collateral to guarantee the loan. Once you go above 30,000, then it will require collateral. So that's a huge difference right there. The other difference is that 30,000 or less, the decision is made in-house. It's the underwriters. There's two of them. Fabian is here with us. Vincent, myself, and Victor, who's the executive director. The four of us sit together and we discuss the loan, and we're looking for a reason to say yes, by the way. We're not here to deny loans. We're trying to say yes. Sometimes it doesn't work out, unfortunately. It's just too much of a challenge, but that's our goal. And we make that decision in-house. Once we make that decision, we say yes, we go into closing right away. If the loan is over 30,000, now it becomes a little more complicated, besides the point that you'll need the collateral. In addition to that, even if we say yes, we now got to go in front of a credit committee. It's made up of bankers, and they will have the final say on whether we can approve the loan or not. Now, we qualify clients the same way the banks do, using what we call the C's of lending. We look at 3 C's typically. The first one being collateral, I just discussed, and the other two, one of them being credit, which credit is very important. By the way, of everything, credit is the most important thing that banks and most lending institutions will look at. That's going to determine your rate. It's going to determine a lot of times whether you get approved or not. Now, we're pretty flexible there. Our guidelines are at 650, the FICO score. It's not written in stone, however. We don't have an algorithm where if you come in at 648, automatic denial. It doesn't work that way. We want to find out the reason why. Why were you denied? I'm sorry, not denied. Why did you have a 648? If the reason is because you're constantly being late on payments, that might be an issue. But if the reason is because you're a little over leveraged, because you had to use your credit card and so forth to get the business rolling, we can understand that. That's part of business. And therefore, we can look at not only the score, but the actuality of what's going on with your credit. The last thing we're going to look at is capacity. And that is, do you have the capacity to pay your obligations, your car payment, credit cards, and so forth? And in addition to that, the new loan that we are giving you. Now, we're very, very flexible when it comes, compared to the norm, when it comes to capacity. And here's why, a few reasons. Number one, we don't only look at business income. So a person sometimes, and we got CPAs here, they'll know, sometimes people are not reporting what they actually make. We had a bodega owner we approved going back a few months ago, only showed that he made like $30,000, $40,000 per year. That's not enough to get a loan. But then we look at his bank statements and he's depositing quite a bit of money. So we qualify him based on the bank statements, not on the tax returns. That again is flexibility. Sometimes we have business owners who have a job, but they're having a business on the side. We can use their income from the job, the W-2 wage, to help them qualify. Many times they have a husband or a wife or a son, daughter that lives with them that is willing to co-sign. We can use their income. Again, very flexible. And I don't want to get technical, but we have what we call the global debt service coverage of 1. And anybody who's in the banking industry knows that's very, very flexible, which basically means if $5,000 are coming in, we will allow $5,000 to go out. Where normally that doesn't happen that way. If 5,000 comes in, they want to make sure that no more than 4,200, 4,300 is going out. So then you have a little bit of money left over. Again, flexibility is what we try to do because our goal is to say yes. Now, this is important. We want to be your bridge. We do not want to be your bank. What we do is we try to help entrepreneurs and business owners establish their business. We have a maximum of 2 loans per lifetime. But basically we want to make sure we give you a loan. If you need a little bit more money, we'll give you another one, assuming, of course, you made payments on time. But we don't want to continue doing that. We want you to go back to the banks. That's who you need to establish the relationship with and establish a good relationship also with a CPA who will guide you. They'll save you a lot of money over the long term. And again, there's a lot of information. I can go on and on and on and on. But you're going to be getting my email. If you have any questions, if you have anything that further clarification you need, or if you're interested, please email me. Let me know. I'll get right back to you, and we'll have a more in-detail discussion pertaining to what is specific to you. And I think I made my time.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. That was awesome. I'm going to actually ask all of the speakers to come. No, come back. I'm going to ask all of the speakers to come back on camera. We're going to do some Q&A, I think. If all the speakers, yep, turn your cameras back on. So we had a really robust conversation today. We had 2 accountants, we had a lender, we had a CDFI. We had a lot of really expert people talking about the various options for starting your business, supporting your business, making taxes work for you, and making sure that as a nonprofit or entrepreneur or small business owner that you're supported and have the information you need. It is 12:58, so we're actually just ahead of time, which is awesome. I'm checking the Q&A box now, so I actually don't see any specific questions here, just a couple of notes of thanks and asking if we were going to share information. So all PDFs of all the presentations are going to be shared in a follow-up email, so you will get that either later this afternoon or tomorrow morning. We're also going to have an event survey, which we hope that everyone will complete and share their feedback on. So you will have that information. I'll give it another second or two just to see if anyone does have any questions that they want to get asked. But if not, we will actually be wrapping on time, which is great. I will ask everyone while I'm just waiting to see if anything pops into the chat, if there are just kind of maybe any last words that of encouragement or any last words of resource that they would like to share with the entrepreneurs and business owners on the call today that was maybe not touched upon in your presentation. And so I'll just kind of call on you as I see you. I'll start from the bottom of our screen. Mark, I'll actually start with you since you're here. Just any thoughts or resources you want to just call attention to that were not mentioned previously.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank each of our panelists. I think they did an absolutely amazing job presenting their information. They're true experts in their fields, and I really, really appreciate them taking the time to be with us today. The second thing I wanted to cover was that this completes our first session, but next week, please mark your calendars for next week's session on cybersecurity. So we're looking forward to that one as well. I hope those that are still on the call with us, that you please don't forget to mark that in and join us next week and share that word with everybody that you know. That's all I have. Maya, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Christabel, we'll come over to you.
Thanks, Maya. So I just wanted to share a great resource, the New Jersey Center for Nonprofits. It's at the state level, it advocates for nonprofits. They have Member Mondays. It's a great resource for nonprofits of all sizes. So I encourage nonprofits to join that, attend. They give a lot of webinars, a lot of people sharing, and the same challenges that your other nonprofits are facing, and they talk about it, whether it's fundraising, special events, raising money. So I encourage businesses that are nonprofits to join that and take a look.
Thank you, Christabel. Yeah, I kind of want to just co-sign that they are an incredible resource. They have a really great team over there. They are a similar organization to us in a way, insofar as they're an association for businesses and they focus on the nonprofit category. Kathy Hahn over there is a really great resource, very nice and responsive. So thank you for sharing that, Christabel. I also want to just draw attention to a link I dropped in the chat. So that link takes you to the event page on our website that lists all of the sessions in this series that are forthcoming, and you can click into each one and register. Each of the partner business associations and chambers has responsibility for organizing, if not one, in our case, two programs in that series. And so you can see what is upcoming. Sylvia, I'll bring it over to you if you have any last words of encouragement or resources.
Well, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining the call and all the panelists. Great information. I think I even took some notes down. But I also did want to mention that was something not on my presentation is that Citizens Bank also works with nonprofits. There's a lot of collaboration that can work really well here from the webinar. And we're actually one of the only banks that offers credit cards to our nonprofits as well. So thank you.
That is a great point. I think everyone here today works with nonprofits either directly or in some kind of indirect support capacity. So I would certainly encourage nonprofits or entrepreneurs and business owners here who work with nonprofits to encourage them to look up all of the organizations that presented today. I'm going to pass it over to Fabian. So Fabian actually works with Onel at GNEC. He was not a presenter. He was here to serve as an additional backup in the event of certain types of questions. But since we don't have any questions, Fabian, if there's anything you just want to share and make sure that people are aware of.
Yes. First, Onel took a long time speaking, so I just want to rim his ears for that. Not just kidding. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so part of what we do when we underwrite a loan, and for those folks that may be interested in putting a loan through GNEC, is we go and we put you through the same sort of steps that a bank is going to put you through, right? Just because we are a nonprofit, just because we're a CDFI, doesn't mean that we are going to do things differently. We try as best as we can to be understanding, but at the same time, what we want to do is we want to set you up so that when you graduate from needing our help, that you're able to go to a bank and say, hey, yes, I have the required documentation that is needed to secure a loan through regular conventional means. And so what we try to do when anybody goes through our system is we try to mirror what a bank does. Yes, we are flexible, like Onel alluded to earlier, but we also try to make sure that you go through the same experience in preparation for when you're when you've graduated from our program.
Perfect.
So I guess I could add, don't be discouraged is what I'm trying to say.
Perfect. I'm actually Andrew, I'm gonna close out with you, but I'll actually just take it over to Onel, since I'm sure any additional thing you would have to say probably goes with what Fabian talked about. So do you have any just last words you want to share with the group?
Well, I'm just honored to be here today, and thank you for inviting me. If anyone has any other questions, they can reach out to us. info@cpacoombs.com. Our number is 973-849-9119. And yeah, no, I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much, Maya.
Thank you, Andrew. And Onel.
Yes, it's amazing how many people do not know about CDFIs and all the different services out there. And these are, I don't think you're charging for this, right? Like the audience is not paying, right?
This is a free event, thanks to support
It's
from
free. It's
Verizon. This is a
free.
free
And
event, yeah.
Verizon is, I mean, people got to take advantage of this because there's so much information out there. And if you're too busy, and I understand having a business, you're going to be busy, but you got to set some time out to learn, because one little thing that you learn might make such a huge difference over a lifetime. So take advantage of this, and thank you, Mark, for providing this. And it's not only this one; it's going to be a whole series of them. Fantastic! Take advantage, please. It's free. Just sit in for an hour.
That was the perfect commercial to close us out. So thank you so much. It is free. Thank you again for the support of Verizon where that's concerned. Next week on the 15th, we have a cybersecurity program, which is being led by the Middlesex County Regional Chamber of Commerce. The following week, we're going to have a program on e-commerce. The following week, we're going to have a law program, which we're actually co-coordinating with one of the organizations. And then we have marketing branding coming up, as well as digital presence, and finally technology and AI on June 26th. So a super, super packed program, lots to get into. It is all free. As Onel said, we're gonna have to have you do like a real commercial for us, because that was great. I did drop the link in the chat, and that will also go out in the post-event thank you email. I also just want to shout out, she's on the back end, but Kirsten Giardi, our VP of Member Relations and Engagement here at NRBP, for working with me to coordinate this program and really getting all of the back end details together. So Kirsten's awesome, and she is a great resource within the organization for our members, as well as others in the business community in general, and folks who might want to become a member of NRBP. So it's 1:06. I'm going to close this out. Thank you for joining us today, and hopefully we'll see you on next week's program. Thank you.